Is Widows the female empowerment thriller that Oscar is waiting for, or is this just another ordinary heist movie?
You tell me.
Widows is directed by Steve McQueen, who also directed the critically acclaimed 12 Years a Slave, the Best Picture Oscar winner of 2013. This film is co-written by Gillian Flynn, who famously wrote the screenplay for Gone Girl.
This film has a great cast. It's starring Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, Elizabeth Debicki, Liam Neeson, and as well as Daniel Kaluuya.
Joining me today is my lovely sister, Laura.
Hello.
One of my favorite people of all time. Thanks for being on the show, sis.
Thanks for having me, brother.
And I'm a little bit under the weather today, so we decided to have some tea.
Chamomile tea, to be correct.
Before we get into this movie. Widows is centered around a group of women who are left widowed because their husbands, who were criminals, are killed in their last mission, and these women are then threatened by these criminal kingpins and drug lords and corrupt politicians.
Yes, crazy people.
And they have to take and they have to take matters into their own hands in order to fix the mess that their husbands left behind. And so in comes Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, and Elizabeth Debicki, and they get together to try to fix this problem.
They're being threatened, their lives are being threatened, and Viola Davis just kind of is the lady who takes charge and gathers the other two widows to go ahead and basically do exactly what their husbands were doing to save their lives.
They need to pick up exactly where they left off, and of course there are some clues that are left behind by the husbands without giving too much away, specifically something that lands in the hands of Davis's character. This movie says a lot about racial tensions and corrupt politicians, police brutality, some topics that have been at the forefront of a lot of movies lately.
Yeah, everything's kind of being centered in the same, just kind of told in the different stories, and I appreciated the nuance on how they explained it in this movie specifically.
Okay.
And they did go more towards the woman empowerment that was the forefront of this movie.
Yes.
And that's been obviously talk of national talk now.
Yeah, right. That's something. Yeah, the Me Too movement, exactly.
But I liked that it was tastefully done. I didn't feel that it was over in your face about women empowerment.
Yeah,
it set a really good tone.
Yeah, it's not in your face. It's not like here is a female empowerment story. It was actually a very classy thriller.
Yes.
Steve McQueen really reminded me of like L.A. Confidential or even a Martin Scorsese film like Goodfellas. There were some definite like undertones of a more classic type thriller, and the movie really takes its time. There were a few moments where I felt a little bored at the beginning.
Me too, honestly, and I was waiting for it to
get going,
you know?
Yeah.
I came into this movie not really wanting to watch this movie because what it looked like in the trailer in the preview was something completely different than what the story takes.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is good. The trailer really misleads you into thinking that this is going to be a movie simply about these women, like action-packed, like women turning into Rambo, you know, but this movie is a lot more than that. It's so a lot more complicated, emotional. It goes into all sorts of different territories, and it's interesting that the backdrop is Chicago, so the movie doesn't shy away of exploring the poverty, the racial tensions, the criminal infested streets.
But yeah, once it picked up the pace, that's when it started getting really, really good. That's when you started getting invested in the storyline, the characters.
The second half is especially taut with a lot of tension.
Yes, and
it doesn't let up.
Man,
oh yeah,
you don't see coming.
That's another thing.
Which is good.
There is a big surprising twist in the middle of this movie where your jaw is going to drop like this.
We looked at each other like, wait, what? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't expect that at all, and the payoff is so good, you know, at the end regarding that specific twist.
Yes.
It's so good.
I know, we can't reveal much, sadly, but it's worth it. sit through it because it gets really, really good, and you start to appreciate the first half of the movie once you see the second half of the movie.
So as far as the performances in this film, Viola Davis, of course, really carries this entire movie. Everybody knows she's the best crier. I mean, all she has to do is just kind of like shake her lips, and all of a sudden the tears just start like drowning down her face.
It's an instinct.
It really is. Of course, she won an Academy Award for Fences recently, but ever since Doubt, I've been a big fan of Viola Davis's work.
I completely agree.
She really shows the grief of a widow, just all the complexities that comes with those emotions.
One of the other widows, Michelle Rodriguez, which was a surprising performance to me because...
Me too.
You know, we've seen her in all these action films, you know, Fast and Furious.
Fast and the Furious.
I first saw her in
I think she was in one of the Resident Evil, exactly.
And I did like her, but it was very surprising that because she took a more subtle role.
Yeah.
She wasn't an aggressive character.
She wasn't,
which
no.
Which is really nice to see her
really
like that.
Balanced performance, right? She still had that edgy, you know, action star.
A little sass, you know.
Yeah, a little sass, but really controlled. Yeah, and it was nice to see her being capable of doing that.
She was definitely, I think, probably my favorite, besides Viola.
Yeah.
We all love her.
But let's not forget about Elizabeth Debicki, who
was more of a struggled character.
Her character was actually very interesting, and I don't want to give a lot away, but part of the movie explores how these women are left with nothing when their husbands die, and how they have to resort to like desperate measures. And her story is particularly, you know,
the hardest,
because she resorts to really exposing herself. Daniel Kaluuya.
I want to say Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya.
It's Kaluuya.
You know, it's interesting.
Very in your face.
Very evil.
Very evil.
Like shockingly evil.
Yes, disturbingly evil.
So menacing, and
he takes pride in his torture.
Yeah, to say the least. And it's really interesting because, you know, he plays such an innocent, good character in Get Out.
Yeah.
You know, so this is like the opposite of what he played in that movie.
He's one of those rising stars right now.
So the movie looks really great as far as techniques. Steve McQueen's camera work, he really has a knack for using the camera to build suspense and to build tension. And in particular, he places the camera both inside certain vehicles and inside cars, and then outside vehicles and cars.
There was this long scene where there was a conversation being had in the car while they were driving.
But the camera
was filmed as if it was on top of the hood of the car.
Right.
And it was just driving.
And the car was driving around and the camera was outside.
A very interesting take.
Very interesting scene. And the conversation, you could hear it, that was taking place inside of the car. I believe it was Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, who plays a corrupt
politician basically inside of the car. Also, there were some beautiful, long, wide shots, a lot of establishing shots of different locales that really set the stage for the scenes that were about to unfold. The lighting was great. I mean, the movie as a whole looks really good. There was a scene inside of a bowling alley that I thought was particularly well shot, well lit. It served for a very tense moment in the movie.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Evil. I wasn't really understanding why it was getting so much Oscar buzz based off of the trailer solely. So yeah, I gave it a shot because of my brother, and it is worth it. It's a little long, you have to have patience, but at the end it pays off with the twists and the turns, and of course the performances of the actors. So I think when it comes to the ratings with our reels, I'm gonna give it a solid 4. I would give it less if it didn't have that twist that we were all left in shock and we were all trying to guess like what's really going on. It really surprised me, and usually we can always, you know, you go into a movie and you have a couple of, you know, guesses, right? Like it could go this way, it could go that way, but this movie really, I mean, I never saw that coming. No one did. I don't think.
And I wish we could talk about it, but we can't.
I know, spoilers. Sorry, man.
So I agree with basically everything that you said. I think that the trailers don't do this movie justice. I think that this movie is a lot more thoughtful. The pacing could be be a little bit better at times, but the twist is awesome. The payoff at the end is awesome. The last 30 minutes of this movie are really tense, really suspenseful. It doesn't let up. The performances are all top notch. There's a lot to appreciate in this movie. The writing is good. So I am going to give it 4 reels. All right, everyone, that concludes our review of Widows. Thanks for watching. Please let us know in the comments below what you think about this movie. Do you think it's worthy of any Oscar consideration? In my opinion, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll say yes.
It might get some Oscar love. I predict that it probably won't. I think that there's a lot more fair coming. There's a lot of tough competition out there, so we'll see. But look us up on Facebook at Real Screeners.
Don't forget to subscribe to this lovely channel. Hit that bell button. Let us know what you think. So join us next time for some real takes on some awesome movies. We're out. Go. Sorry. Tell me you're starting.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Tune in to the next video on some movies.